Hiya, so welcome to Coffee and
Questions.
Shall we go again?
Yeah.
Coffee and
Questions.
Coffee and
Reviews.
what is it?
Reviews.
What are we doing today? Questions, are we? We're going to ask them a load of questions.
Yeah, with some answers. Should we start this?
No, I think that's quite funny. Idiot. Anyway, so marriage chaos aside, and I wanted a good clean vlog today.
I'm going to drink my coffee and be quiet.
So this is our coffee and reviews. So we decided to call it Coffee and Reviews, and every time we do a review, we're going to have a coffee, basically.
And I'm going to ask lots of questions to annoy you.
He's going to ask lots of questions. Hopefully not from me, because I haven't got any answers for any of his questions. In all reality, he's much smarter than I am. So this is our Coffee and Reviews. We are going to review today Universal with a disabled child for the first time. So it was our first time to Universal, so it's going to be our first review on Universal and our first time taking Isla. It's not my first time to Universal, but as a family it's our first time going as a family together. So I thought we'd kick off with the room.
Yeah,
with
so
our disability room.
We stayed at Cabana Bay in a external access family suite.
We were in the Starlight building.
Yeah, we were in the Starlight building at the back facing the car park.
We were just by the main pool, weren't we? The big pool. So not the pool with the lazy river, but the pool on its own with the slide. Yeah, the pool with the slide.
So the room was massive. Had loads of space for the kids. You could separate off the bedroom area from the living area. Yeah,
there's a divide, and we've also put a vlog up. I do know I've done it in portrait, not landscape, and that's a filming error. I've learnt my lesson, so now we'll try and do everything in landscape so you can actually see better.
We stayed with Virgin, so we got given full free drinks. And
so we booked with Virgin.
Yeah.
That might be something to say. So we booked with Virgin and we paid a deposit of about £300, and then we just paid like £100 a month over like a year before we went. And that's how we did the week at Universal. We bought our park tickets as a bundle in with our Disney tickets and our on-site. Well, we were off-site, but we stayed in a partner hotel with Disney. So we did that side of it and our flights and everything. We did all that through BA. Yeah. But back to the room.
There was quite a low bath in the room.
In the bathroom, which was also massive, was really big.
Which obviously with a disabled person...
A wheelchair user, we have.
Yeah, so we have a wheelchair user, but in certain situations that's going to be
different.
Easier for getting a disabled person in and out, especially if they can limited mobile themselves to the bath. But we could also see how with an older child or an adult it could also present issues. But they do several different types of rooms. They do ones with showers, ones with rolling showers, here inaccessible, ones with a bathtub. So they do variations that you could ask for.
Yeah, and we did ask, didn't
reception,
we?
Yeah.
We did ask at reception. That's a good point to also add that when we got to reception, we said that we've got a disability room, and they were like really interested. What's your disability?
Yeah, what type of disability?
What type of disability? So the disability room that they just allocated us, they didn't give us, did they? No, they changed the room. So that was great. There was a few things I was really pleased that I actually highlighted when I did the review. Was the phones in the room. That was one of the things I really liked. So if you had somebody that had mobile issues and say you were leaving them in the bedroom to have a nap, and you maybe have been going off to around the resort or anything like that, there was a phone there, so if they needed to phone for help, they could phone for help if they weren't feeling well or they needed help or support. There was a phone there. If they fell in the room on that side, there wasn't. If you had to crawl to get to a phone, if you were on your own, and maybe infirm, or even just general, you had a fall, there was a phone right there. And then also in the main area where you had like the living area, you had a sofa, we had a TV separate from the main room. There was another phone in there, so if you did have a fall, you didn't have as far to get to call for help, which I really liked that. I thought that was a really good thing to note. That
also in all the rooms there was the strobe fire alarms as well. So there was the light up.
Yes, if you were hearing impaired,
if you were hearing impaired, you'd see the light flashing, as well as if you could only just hear something and knew something was up.
Yeah, you'd be a warned pre-spirit sprinkler going off, wouldn't you?
They
also,
they had a full kitchen, didn't they? So they had a microwave.
Well, it wasn't a full kitchen.
Well, they had a microwave.
We had a full-size fridge, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had like a full-size under-the-counter fridge.
They didn't freeze everything. Unlike Hilton.
Yeah, and like when we stayed at the Hilton, we had it's more of like a mini fridge. It's more of a drinks cooler, so it fills up really quick. If you've got a few bottles of water in there, and then like 2 bottles of water, 2 bottles of cola, so say 2 bottles of juice, then you've got like a bottle of milk. You really haven't got an awful lot of room in the fridge, and I really appreciated the fact that we had a big fridge, because we never know when Isla's going to have a seizure. She's got cerebral palsy and epilepsy, and you know, she could have a really bad seizure and need to be like, just not be well, and then need to be 1 out of the heat, 2, she'll want to be in bed. If we give her seizure medication, it knocks her out for quite a period of time, so she could be knocked out for 12 hours. And although we'd make the best of it and probably take turns and take our son out, it's nice to be able to think, well, we've got a full fridge that we did stock up and we did buy food, that if she wasn't well, we had there in the room, and if we didn't want to leave her, we didn't have to leave her, because we could just literally stock our fridge up. And we also, like, we've got a 15-month-old, and we were also able to go to Walmart and buy 2 big lots of milk to save us having to faff around with milk as well.
I mean,
drinks, like
saying
anything
about milk, Universal do sell the bigger bottles of milk. And
so did Disney.
Whereas the Hilton only sold the little cartons there.
But I think that's just just depending on, it's a good note, but I think just depending on where you stay, you know, I think mainly, I think, you know, Disney and Universal are so big companies, and even though Hilton's a really big company, I think
it was said it was a conference hotel.
Where we stayed, although it was right by Disney Springs, they were massive into conferences, so I don't know if they necessarily get as many people staying for long periods of time there. I think a lot of people seem to get really busy around the weekends.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt Universal was busy all the time, but it never felt busy, did it? It never felt. It just is so vast, actually, that the pool was just. It never felt busy. It never felt crowded. We did go out of school. We did go when the schools were back in Florida and in England. So we went in September. We went very end of August, and basically we were there for 3 weeks in September. But it was a really lovely chilled vibe as well, wasn't it? I don't know if that's just Cabana Bay in itself. It's very 50s vibed. It was very, very relaxed. I really feel like we just didn't get much out of the. Are we even filming?
We are again now. It was falling. We're back. Sorry about that. So yeah, so we did feel like it was quite quiet, and really, really just, I was really relaxed there. Yeah. And I think the only other thing I've got to say about the room, apart from the fact that it was really big, there was like really good wheelchair turning circles. It was massive, wasn't it? Really big. Which is really useful, just to be able to get the wheelchair wherever you need to get the wheelchair. If I needed to get Isla out of her chair straight into the bed, I could get her straight onto the toilet, because there was more than enough room for her transfer from her wheelchair to the toilet in the room. It was just really good. Also, there was no, one thing I did comment on, there was no, hang on a minute, our rig is just not working today.
Wedges. One thing I would note was there was no stools or seating around the little table.
Yeah.
Where the kitchen area is, whereas the non-disabled rooms I think do have that. But there are chairs that you could move over there, but they were quite heavy and bulky chairs, weren't they? But we sort of just really winged it. Like we just sort of did our breakfast and did the kids' breakfast. Majorly on the go, really, as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot on the go. Isla tends to have like cheese for breakfast and yogurt, so it was mainly as we were running out the door. I sort of had cereal, and you sort of didn't really bother with much, did you?
No.
So
I
it just
don't really eat breakfast. Running out the door 5 a.m. every day, soon give up.
So it did really work fine. It really worked well for us. It worked well for Isla. Are you gonna drink your coffee? Yeah.
I'm drinking it.
Yeah, it did work really, really well for us, and I was really surprised how good it was. Like we could put the kids to bed at night time and shut the door, sort of close the room divider so that we could have the lights on and chat or whatever. Even if it was just like laying out everyone's clothes for the next day, sorting that out, planning really what we were doing the next day.
I mean, there was lots of drawers, wasn't there? Even though most of them were closed.
There was
and
5 drawers.
To get into them.
5 drawers for storage. There was a really good rail at the back of the room in like a little cubby, like in a little nook. But that was just that was just fantastic.
And the safe was around there as well, wasn't it?
And the safe was around there and everything. It was just really, even that was really big. You know, it was big.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from saying the room was big. We've got it. The room was huge. Moving on.
Rides.
Rides is next on the list.
So Jimmy Fallon was.
Or should we go into why we were worried?
Yeah.
So when we booked Universal, I was super excited. I was really into like Dr. Seuss and The Simpsons and Minions, like most children are. Everyone seems to be mad on Minions. I was really, really excited, and I watched a few vlogs, and fear of dread just came into me. I just thought, oh my gosh, she's not going to be able to go on anything. They don't do like a disability pass for somebody in a wheelchair, because all the queues are and I was just thinking, how are we gonna manage? And I did panic a little bit, because I'm very used to being with Disney and Disney's DAS pass. Even though in Florida we use the DAS pass a lot less at Disney for certain reasons than we do at Disneyland Paris, but their setup's totally different.
Yeah.
The setup in Disneyland Paris is totally different. So it's not a park exclusive thing, is it? But I just did worry, not having any prior experience with a disabled child at a theme park like Universal.
I think the thing I would say about the disabled pass system at Universal, if you just turn up at destinations and say,
Here's
I
my
want to
doctor's
pass.
letter.
No, you just don't say, I want to pass because my relative is in a wheelchair. They will default to all our queues are disabled access friendly. We aren't going to give you a pass. You need to have more than just the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So you need to have another medical condition or a continence issue or some other reason why that person can't queue. Just being in a wheelchair for university is not enough.
Which I just worried about just on the premises of what I've said before. But I looked into things online. The baby might be waking up. I looked at things online and it definitely made me feel a little bit better. I also messaged Universal with my specific issues, with Isla's specific issues, and they very much said to me, you know, we do have rides that she can remain in a wheelchair, and you know, as long as she can sit up and she can brace, which Isla can to a certain extent, on certain things that she'd never managed to. So I'll go into that in a minute. She can sit here. Oh. Yeah, so certain things she wouldn't manage to now. So the first ride we went on was Minions, and this was my biggest worry. This ride, because they don't have a wheelchair assisted vehicle. And I didn't know anything about the ride. I haven't watched vlogs and everything. I wanted it all to be fresh to us. So I was like uber excited. So we showed our disability pass a lot of the time. We did manage to get Isla a disability pass. More for like her incontinence reasons, like if she needs to go to the toilet, I actually need to be able to get out of a queue as well as in. So it's not just as simple as getting into a queue. I need to be able to say to somebody, you know, I need to leave this queue right now. Like, especially with like her epilepsy and everything like that, I was a bit worried about that. But they were absolutely fantastic, I must admit. They were really good.
Works as an express pass.
So the disabled pass technically works as an express pass. If the queue's less than 30 minutes, they'll give you a return time to come back. So you can, no, more than 30 minutes, sorry, they'll give you a return time to come back. So if it's like 75 minutes, they'll give you a return time to come back in like 45 minutes, 50 minutes probably for 7, and then so about 25, and then they'll put you down the single rider line. Express pass line or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much single rider as well, isn't it? Or no? No? Okay, they're separate. But often we just went into the main queue because a lot of the rides we were riding either were set up differently for disabled people, or and I'll expand on that, or were like low wait times. When we went, it was quite quiet as well, so I think that helped with the low wait times. So I think Minions was about 25 minutes when we first went on Minions on our first day, so we just went straight through. And when you get to the front of the queue, we were asked, we were told basically that Isla would have to go in a stationary, and I said that's fine. I actually, they're so diligent. She was gonna like not argue with me, but she was like, right, so who wants to go with Isla and the baby, because one of you can go. And I was like, we're all going to go stationary. And she's like, okay, that's brilliant. So basically the ride is a simulator ride. It is a massive screen, and then you have ride cars in rows, and then they all move, and then they're sort of on a slant. So I think you've got like 3 cars going back up, so you all sort of get the same sort of view. But then there's stationary right at the front, so you can just basically walk in and sit down. Fantastic. You get the same sort of experience, but you're not in motion. So if you're motion sick, that's a great option for you because it's not as bad. And I couldn't imagine riding the actual normal ride. Could you, Jace? No. I couldn't imagine riding the normal ride. Stationary was more than enough for me. And she loved that. She absolutely loved that. It was well worth the wait as well. Even stationary is well worth the wait. So I would recommend, especially, and also if you've got young children as well. So if they don't reach the height requirement, you can have them on your lap stationary. So we all got to go on because we've got the 15-month-old's going to probably come and say hello. So yeah, so we really enjoyed the Minions ride. There's no issues with her going on there or doing that with a wheelchair. There's also a pre-show, which is funny. And then when you come out of Minions, there's a dance party. So there's music going. You can see yourself dancing on the screen. Sometimes there's a Minion, not all the time. Yeah. But sometimes there's a Minion. So there's like, you come out and there's a character meet and greet. So there tends to be no queues. So you're just straight on out, aren't you? Straight on into the Minion shop as well, which is quite nice because I don't know if we'd have gone into the Minion shop if we hadn't come out into it.
No.
And Isla bought a little fan, didn't she? That was really quite powerful actually, for like $15. A little It's So Fluffy fan. So she really loved that. It was uber hot, wasn't it, that day? Our first day was uber hot. And then we went on to Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
And now Jimmy Fallon is a real it's an enigma, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, so the loading process is...
Yeah, so that's why I said, like, with Jimmy Fallon, we didn't technically have a wait for the ride.
No, they divert you.
But we got diverted, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we went to the entrance. You don't actually really need to take the disabled person up to the entrance. But we went up to the entrance and I did speak to a bloke and he was trying to say to me, well, can she sit up? Can she sit up on the ride? And I was like, well, she's going to stay in a wheelchair. So it says she can stay in a wheelchair. And Isla does have a chest harness because when she's really tired at the end of the day, or when we're driving, she needs it for safety. But she doesn't often have it on, so she can sit up quite upright and quite strong in her wheelchair if she's strapped in. So she likes to stay in there because she's more comfortable, isn't she?
It's one thing we have noticed on this trip. If there's the option for her to stay in her wheelchair, she will stay in her wheelchair. Yeah. She doesn't want to be unnecessarily transferred anymore.
Yeah, I suppose she just probably feels manhandled. You know, and it's not comfortable. How would you feel being picked up all the time?
I can see it. And she's getting older. She's becoming a teenager quite rapidly.
Her independence, isn't it, her chair?
Yeah.
So they took you through and then another staff member started to talk to us, and she was fantastic. So she took us in. She showed us where to go. She took us into the shop, and there's a lift at the back of the shop. And so we took up in the lift. One of us we were offered to stay with. One was offered to stay with Rowan while the other one rode the ride, and then we did parent swap. The baby is coming, and we did do. Oh, careful! We did both get to ride the ride. Jimmy Fallon ride's fantastic, isn't it? Do you want to explain how they got her into the ride? Or how they get wheelchair users onto the ride?
So they have effectively a transfer vehicle that they load the wheelchair into. They strap the wheelchair down with the same type of straps that most disabled people are strapped down into their vehicle with.
Anchorage.
Yeah, anchorage points. Then there's a seatbelt around the child as well.
Yeah, there's a seatbelt that goes around the child, yeah.
They then move out an entire section of the ride vehicle comes out, and the wheelchair transfer vehicle slots into that space. So effectively it becomes part of the ride vehicle. So the disabled person gets the same ride experience as everybody else does. Yeah.
In an amazing way. Like, not even like, I mean, like, full on, like, simulation, like. Wow. Full on ride simulator. Like, she's. Leave him, put him down. He just wants to play. Don't you, bud? You just want to play. He's just woken up for his nap, so he's a little cranky. Do you want Daddy to get you a snack? Do you need a snack?
Yeah.
Yes.
You carry on talking and I will get him a snack.
Okay. We'll go with Daddy. See what snacks there are in the kitchen. Do you want some banana? So, yeah, it's the full ride experience, which is just absolutely fantastic. And it's just an amazing ride. It really just blew me away how accessible it was. It just absolutely blew me away. And I'll add a picture at the very end of this vlog so that you can just see the ride actual vehicle. I am going to, when we next go, I'm going to try and see if I can get permission, because it's very funny about filming on the ride. But I'm actually going to go and ask a team member if I can just film the loading option, because it's just mind-blowingly accessible. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been dealing with a child in a disability
Nearly 10 years.
pushchair, now in a wheelchair for nearly 2 years. Like, I've never seen any. Yeah, but for 2 years she's been in a wheelchair. I've never seen anything like it. That was our first day, you know. By the time we'd got the disability pass, by the time we'd done the Minions ride, by the time we'd done Jimmy Fallon, we had a little walk around, that was just our fit. We were just gobsmacked after that ride, weren't we? And also when she came off the ride, the cast member had gone off, that I would say cast member, but she's not a cast member because she's not Disney. But like the Universal employee, she went and got the panda and brought the panda to her, the Jimmy Fallon panda, and we got pictures and she got high fives and a hug, and you know, and he literally stood there and waited for her to come off the ride. I sat there and watched him just wait there, and as soon as Isla had come and he'd done with the interaction, he totted off into the, like, back to the main queue. And then we also saw another panda downstairs, didn't we? But I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. I just really did appreciate that, because we don't often, Isla doesn't want to stand in the heat outside meeting characters, does she? She doesn't want to wait because she's hot. She just wants to move on to the next thing. She wants to get out of the heat, which is completely fair enough, you know. When you're hot and you can't get up out of a chair, it's not ideal. So I just thought that was really, really just fantastic. They went above and beyond at Jimmy Fallon. We even bought some stuff in the gift shop. We'd seen some bits in the gift shop at Jimmy Fallon, funny enough, that we didn't see anywhere else, and that was Universal specific merch. So if you are after certain things and you don't see it, just pop in Jimmy Fallon because you may see it. But over by the lift in the corner, they've got the Universal stuff, and there was stuff in there we didn't see anywhere else. Like obviously a lot of the Jimmy Fallon stuff, there was stuff in there we didn't see anywhere else. Like there was office stuff, and obviously all the, like, the channel that sponsors it, NBC or whatever it is, I don't know, I'm not American. ABC, is it? No.
Ruby.
No.
Come here.
Come to Daddy.
Have you banana?
He's trying to sabotage the vlog.
I'm here.
Yes, so I will add that video. The next amazing experience we had was in Dr. Seuss Land, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we hate green eggs and ham. General consensus. It's boys v girls, I feel like. The girls don't like it, the boys loved it.
Yeah.
We bought it specifically for Isla. It's potato tots, it's cheese, it's ham. Nope. She gave me
boiled ham.
Absolute what?
It's boiled ham.
Boiled ham. That's
like
fine. She doesn't care.
No, but
it's like almost like bacon.
No, it's like a canned ham you'd have got when we were children, and that's why she didn't like it.
I just don't think she liked it. I didn't like it. I'm not fond. I'm funny with cheese, so I just didn't really like it. I don't know if it was Swiss cheese.
Probably was. Most stuff is over there, to be fair.
But I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the whole combination. Like, with the egg and everything, I just didn't like it. But Rowan, on the other hand, thought it was fantastic. He had the best meal of his life. He loved it. And you liked it as well, didn't you? So it's boys v girls on the green eggs and ham. So there's our little review on that. We went to Zeus Landing, didn't we? And we went first on Cat in the Hat, which was fantastic. We just went through the main queue. There was no wait. It was uber quiet. Like I said, all the kids were in school, so I think, you know, there was only people really in there that had young children.
Yeah.
So, and it was just, Dr. Seuss is a bigger ride, and it's got a higher height limit than I think the others. So Rowan couldn't ride it, but we did ride it, single rider. So, and there is a wheelchair car there, and that was brilliant. That's a really good ride, really fun. It felt like a big girl ride, didn't it, for her? It felt like a big ride. It was quite spinny, it was fast, interactive. It was I really enjoyed that. It was really fun. I'd have loved to have ridden it again. But we did do that each, so she got to ride that twice because we did parent swap, so that was really good. And I found that we had to load and reload due to safety, and I said, well, I could just step over her, and he said, I can't have her on this ride going from here, literally, like, even it was like 3 cars length to there without the bar being down, and the bar won't go down, so it's not safe. And I was just really impressed with how I didn't have this feeling once I was there that they just weren't accessible. I had this feeling that everything they did was to maximise the safety. If it wasn't safe, you weren't going. You know, you weren't riding. And that I really felt that more at Universal than I've ever done at Disney. I know Disney's a completely different setup, and the rides that she would ride at Disney are totally different. And Universal's more of a thrill seeker, but I understand it from a different angle now I've been.
Yeah.
Than from watching vlogs before, and I just don't feel like there's that information out there for parents of disabled children. We then went on to One Fish, Two Fish, didn't we?
Yeah.
I seem to be doing all the talking here. You've completely given up on the vlog. You've sat on the floor. We can just see a tiny bit of your face. It's all going on.
I'm trying to stop
chaos.
the baby wrecking the video. So, yeah, so we went on.
Okay, moving on.
You help him. So we went on One Fish, Two Fish, and they called a supervisor over, didn't they, to help load Isla.
Can I have the banana? Oh, it's a nice banana.
So they called a supervisor over who helped load Isla onto that ride. And I'm trying to think how they loaded it, because Rowan went on that ride as well, didn't he?
So yes, basically the whole vehicle, there's a wheelchair vehicle that is basically it's just a normal ride vehicle. Seats come down so they can use it all of the time. But if they don't want to use it for normal people, well, I say normal, but if they don't want to use it for mobile people, when they want to use it in a wheelchair, they're literally like, they flip a switch basically, and it's more than one switch, it's like boom boom boom, but like they pull the whole thing out, flip one seat up, one seat stays stationary, the mobile person, the carer, the assistant, however you want to put it, sits on that seat. Then they literally, a ramp comes down and they literally push the wheelchair on, secure it all in, and then slide the whole unit back in. Now Isla has a little bit of a stick out where her headrest is, and we couldn't get her on, so basically we had to unstrap her, and then we had to literally like get her on and then put the brakes on and then rehook her all in and everything. But the cast member was fantastic, and she witnessed the issue we had with it. She dealt with the situation. They let us ride twice because it was a lot to get her on, so they let us ride twice. There wasn't a massive queue, so we didn't hold anybody up. Only really held people up, we held a couple getting on the ride because we were trying to get her off, and then they have to obviously put the car back together and then got them on, so they did have a little bit of a wait, but not like massive, probably even like half a minute. But that was the only issue. And
also with the member of staff that came over, she, as soon as we'd finished on that ride, she was like, go over to the carousel if you want to ride the carousel, wait there and I'll be over in 2 minutes once I finish with this ride. So because she knew the issues that we'd had on the first ride, I think she felt like it was easier for her to stay with us. So then on the next ride, if we had the same issues, she already knew where the issues were. Yeah. Rather than expecting somebody with fresh eyes to try to load her onto the carousel. You can explain a bit more about the carousel, because I didn't do the carousel. Yeah, so basically the carousel, like there's a ramp that literally just tucks into the bottom of the carousel, and it just literally swings out. Obviously it's like all like hooked in, but like she opened it all up, brought it out, where there's like a little carriage and seating. Then she put the seats up, put Isla in, anchored her in. I sat with her. We did one ride and Isla was a bit like, this is a bit boring. It's a bit tame now, this one. So we only did one ride of that because we were going to parent swap, but she was just like, I'm not having any of it, I want to get off. She was hungry, so we went and had lunch at that point at Circus McGurkus. Now I would say it's quite, it's not quite expensive, but we just wanted a cheap lunch. Yeah, we don't need to show off Daddy's credit card, do we?
The joys of having kids. Whoop, whoop. Let's get that off screen. Thank you.
Hello, Owen.
Hellraiser you. We did have a great lunch there, and I think for a really big slice of pizza and chips was $7.99.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of people doing that. We had a children's meal. We had we always got a refillable drinks. Staying hydrated is really important. He's on one today. Staying hydrated is really important. So we bought the refillable cup for $17.99, I think.
Yeah.
And then refilled it for like 13.
Yeah, it's like 11 before tax. Yeah, it was about
£13 a day. So we did that. And as long as you make sure you have about even 2 drinks, really, 2-3 drinks, you've made your money back. But we'd probably average about 5, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we did try all of there's sometimes secret menus. There was a secret menu on the Fanta, wasn't there, for the Halloween, and he tried all 3, and one of them was just awful. Yeah. Do you remember which one it was?
Zombie.
Oh, gosh, it was vile.
I mean, Certain Magurkus also has...
You're a nightmare today.
Certain Magurkus also has a train that goes around the top. So the people tend to wave from the train to the people in the restaurant.
So it's nice and interactive, wasn't it?
So the first couple of times Ida saw the train, she was waving back and all happy. And then after that, she decided everyone on there was silly because they were going round on a train.
I don't know if she realised. I don't know if she thought that the train was just going round and round with the same people on. Yeah. So she was just a bit like, "What are they doing? What are those people literally doing while I'm eating my dinner? What are they there for?" But apart from that, we didn't do the trolley ride. Rowan, stop! Come on, covered in banana. We did find like there was a night. The show was good. There was a really good like storytelling, and they did like a dance, and then they did like a picture session at the end, which was really good for all of the with all the Dr. Seuss characters. The shops are really interactive. One shop's got like colouring in, like the bookstore. There's colouring and stuff.
And also it shows. There's a screen in there that shows
movies, wasn't it? The Grinch was on, so I don't know if the Grinch is constantly playing or they play different films. But that's quite nice just to chill out in the AC, and I think the staff just, there's not too much merch in there, is there? What? The banana's gone, you've ate it all. So that was really interactive, nice little cool down for young children. And they can like colour in there. Everything's provided, loads of different sheets for them to choose from, crayons. I don't know if there's books to read, but there's all the Dr. Seuss books that you could wish to like buy, which I thought was really nice.
Some unusual ones that I haven't actually ever seen in this country.
Yeah, there were some unusual ones, but a lot weren't. There was a lot that were learning books, so they were like Dr. Seuss themed, but not originally Dr. Seuss. Yeah. And some of them were just some of them were just a bit different, weren't they? There was some. We bought 2 nursery sort of preschool books, that were like versions of a bit more interactive and just a bit slimmed down for younger children. For Rowan, because he didn't really buy anything, did he? He had He had a Simpsons teddy and a One Thing, Two Thing teddy, and that's really all he had from Universal. There just really wasn't anything that he's not at that age either yet. He's only 16 months he is now. He's not really at the age where he's like, oh, I'd like that. He's not really got that mentality. He'll pick something up, play with it, and think, would you like that? And then he's literally on to the next thing. Yeah. So it's just like, there's no point buying it. He's just done with it. Beep.
Are you paying for stuff on my card?
Yeah, so that really does us for rides at the moment regarding Isla rides.
Yeah. I managed to do some of the roller coasters in a single rider. And one thing I would say is, a lot of the time, even if there's no queue, so even if they're technically walk-ons, because of how they load the vehicles, if you are a single rider, you'll find a lot of the time the staff will say, could you just go up single rider even though there's no queue? Because obviously they add them into the cars to get the cars full so they can get the cars to depart. And it's a lot easier for the cast members just to have a single rider queue than to try to draw people out to the main queue who may be single riders.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the other thing I did notice was later on in the day, I went in, what was it, an hour before the park closed? And all the single rider queues were closed. So albeit the wait times were only 25 minutes for the Velocicoaster, which when we were there earlier in the day it was 65, 70, 80 minutes. And even then you were queuing to the end and they were shouting for single riders or groups of two to come forward, so you still weren't, you were effectively a single rider in it even though you weren't in a single rider queue.
Yeah. Just to get the queue to move, I guess.
Just get the queue to move, so they don't want...
They don't close the queue till the park's closed today.
No.
And I just thought we'd add on the Hogwarts Express was really good.
Yeah.
Really accessible. So you can use your wheelchair. They take the buggy off me. They took the buggy off me fully. Like I didn't have to fold it. They didn't fold it. They just loaded that into a separate car and got us onto the ride. They literally sat me and Rowan down so I was out of the way, and then they put Isla on themselves, didn't they? And wheeled her on and just asked Jason to get us in the vehicle, and the whole side of the cabin opens up. It's almost like you're at the end of one carriage and at one end of the train carriage, and literally you just get on, you wheel her straight in, and literally the brakes go on. There's a really great show in there. What I really was impressed by, and I was a little bit worried about it, but there is a period where the Dementors come out on some of the shows. There's different shows, I believe, so you might not all, you know, there's a few different shows for you to watch, but I was really pleased that it was just really tame. Yeah. So in that ride, that might be a downside to it. You might only ever see that one, but it was really tame, and you just saw the forest. You waved bye to Hagrid. You know, you went over the motorway. You were in London. There was a night bus. It was really nice for her, and you know, it didn't scare us. So I don't know whether they have the I don't know if they have the option to pick which, depending on who's on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the option or if each screen can be different. I don't really know, but I was really appreciative of that. And I noticed that it did get cold at one point.
Yeah.
I think other people were getting that experience, that it was getting cold, and they were getting the Dementors on their screen or on their, you see it on the door. But we didn't get that, did we? No. So I was quite pleased that we didn't get frightened. I would say that they like you to hold the baby on the lap, because at one point Rowan got down off me,
and they were there straight away.
I said to him, you know, as soon as I'd said to him, you need to sit on Daddy's lap then, and Jason went to pick him up, the man was at the door going, I need you to hold the child. So that's steps from the doll's house. You're on it today, boy, aren't you? So yeah, so that was just something to note, really. And that was it really for what Ida did. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you've got other things,
I mean, the other thing
there's so much else to do, isn't there? There's shows on the streets and characters to meet, and all those experiences we found accessible, didn't we?
The one issue we did find with Universal, which is worth bearing in mind if you have babies or very young children, is they like them to wear shoes.
Oh yeah, like on the splash pad and things.
So as soon as they're out of their chair, if they're not wearing shoes, they will come over and tell you that the baby needs to wear shoes.
But they also had one day I forgot his shoes, and I said, it's Boyd and Hart. I did say to the staff member, I was a bit curt, but I said, well, you can pick him up then. He was soaking wet, and she gave me a look as if to say, what? I was like, you drag him away and deal with the tantrum, because I'm not doing it, because it was so hot. And I took note. I was flippant. I must admit I was, but I wasn't rude. I was just saying to her, you know, I can't take him away from there. He's gonna go mad, and then I'll have Isla upset, and Isla will be screaming, and she was quite happy playing. And that was another thing I thought was really great. Where SpongeBob shop is, there's a little tiny play area, isn't there? Yeah. With a little water area, not the big Woody Woodpeckers area, but a little area, and there's almost like a it's almost like a bowl you can play in.
Yeah.
And like we could put Isla's wheelchair right beside it, and she could like splash in it, which we just thought was great for her. And she did actually get pretty drenched, didn't she? Yeah. And she was really content. And Rowan was just straight under this water fountain. He got absolutely drenched. to the point where I had to strip him right down to his nappy and hang his clothes on the buggy to dry. But I did try to find shoes that day because I'd left them at the hotel in a rush, and I thought, right, well, in case he wants to do anything else and he needs shoes for, I'll get him some shoes. And they had nothing. They're nothing smaller than about a 7, and Rowan's about a toddler 5, so they had nothing, not even in girls, for me to put girls on. Nothing at all. So it is worth bearing in mind that if you are going to put them down on a splash pad, they definitely need shoes on. In our country, we don't tend to put shoes on children until they're walking. In certain circles, it's best not to. And that's just a sort of a guideline. So he's not really in shoes yet because he is now, but he wasn't then because he wasn't walking.
I can understand where they're coming from. Just from their point of view, they're worried that there could be anything on the floor that could injure
and they
the child.
do sell glass. That's the thing. They do sell lager in glass keepsake cups. Yeah. So anything could be smashed. They've also got Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, we witnessed things falling from facades because. We were a bit like, this one woman just picked up this massive great big piece of wood and gave it to a cast member, and the cast member was a little bit like horrified, but it obviously just been left by somebody up on a roof from Halloween Horror Nights, and the wind had just blown it down. So I can totally understand it, and I can get on board with it. I've not really got an issue with it. But what my issue is I'm being told to put shoes on my child, and I couldn't buy any shoes for him. Yeah. So that was my issue.
They want to enforce the rule. Then they should have solutions available so you can resolve the issue.
They don't have to, but it just would have been a help to me at that time if I could have bought anything to go on his feet. And there was just absolutely nothing. So yeah, that was just that. It was just the way it was. Overall, we found the value at Universal great for food. At the hotel, you could get a large pizza for about $12.99, and the food was really good as well. So I never minded paying for the food there. In comparison to what we got somewhere else, I thought we got really good value for the money.
A couple of days I had like some kind of
He's very grumpy today.
A roast meal and potatoes and sort of like not fast foody type food, isn't it?
I'm going to go and get him
type meal, which
a drink.
Wasn't necessarily available at Disney. It's very much fast food based, and even Hilton is very fast food based, isn't it?
Yeah, there's really good options, isn't there? There's really good options at Universal. There's really good options. We had the Hog's Head in Diagon Alley.
Yeah.
And that was, no it wasn't, Leaky Cauldron, sorry. And the food there was about, for an adult meal, you're talking like $15.99. But the portions were absolutely huge. I don't think any of us finished. And the children shared, there wasn't really anything on the children's meal menu. So we got either bangers and mash, and the sausages were this long. They were like proper massive sausages. They were English sausages, sausages, but they were massive. They were really long. And I was just really shocked that she had 2 of those, not just the one. On a lunch, it was lunchtime, but she had 2 of those. I actually ordered extra mash and gravy in a little pot, and I think that was about $3.50. Thinking, wow, I'll make sure they've got plenty of mash because they both love their mashed potato. It's something that Isla really missed when we were there. Yeah. I couldn't get it on site. I'm gonna drop the D word again, but I couldn't get it on site at Disney anywhere. I looked everywhere for mashed potato, and we just didn't seem to find any.
There apparently was somewhere on the Springs that sold it, but
I just couldn't find any. But it was everywhere at Universal, so Isla was made up. It was like Isla's dream life. You could buy it at the hotel. You could buy little pots for $3.50, little pots of mac and cheese for $3.50. And they're just great for feeding young children. Like, it was just great, wasn't it?
I mean, the one thing that did make me laugh was they seem to think that we don't refer to sausages as sausages.
Bangers.
So it was like banger sandwich and banger this and banger that, and we're like,
Which,
yeah, that's not how we talk.
when we were children, I think it was very much like bangers and mash, and then I had these faint recalls in my memory of us singing sausages in the pan.
Yeah.
But I can't remember that. It was like a child's song. I can't remember it now. I'm this old. But and I don't sing it to my children because I can't remember it. But it was the food was really, really fantastic at the Leaky Cauldron. I'd definitely eat there again. We ordered 3 meals, 2 specialty drinks, an extra mash and gravy. I think your drink was about $7.
Yeah.
$7, and we had a butterbeer, frozen butterbeer in a butterbeer cup, and that was $13. And the whole thing came to about $65. So for a sit-down meal, even though it's a little bit quick servicey, for a sit-down meal, you just can't fault that. $65. No. I mean, we ate at the Golden Corral for we had 4 adults, 2 children, 1 child because Rowan didn't pay, and 5 drinks, and that came to 103. So maybe, and that's in the Golden Corral off-site. That's quite a cheap place to go and eat. So value-wise, I just felt like for a theme park, I would have expected it to be around that sort of price just for us 4. Even though we only bought 3 meals because the children shared. But if you had 4 children, 5 children, 6 children, you could just get 3 adult meals. I mean, the bangers and mash especially. Yeah, 2 sausages. Massive load of gravy and mash. Then she had roast vegetables on the end of the plate, and then on the other end we had a load of peas. She had a load of peas.
Yeah.
Has he had my mug?
So it was very much like
I'll have that one, it's an expensive one. This is his lovely mug from Dr. Seussland. From Seusslanding. Father of all things. He's the father of all my things. Aren't you, babe?
Yeah.
Our 2 things.
Yeah. The small thing and the big thing.
Terrorising this house.
Yeah, so I had lamb and Guinness stew, which I thought would be like the stews that we have, so in a bowl and with dumplings. Didn't really read the menu that well, and it actually comes in
a dumpling.
Dumpling
Roll.
Yeah. They've sort of cut the top out and they fill it with the stew.
And it's like that big.
Yeah.
I can't, maybe even a bit bigger. It's massive, and they cut the top off and hollow it out, I suppose.
Yeah.
And completely fill it with stew. But it's a dumpling roll, so this thing's made it's like a denser dumpling.
Yeah.
Which you just couldn't get through, could you?
No.
And I had fish and chips, and from the pictures I've seen online, I just thought it's a lot of money for what it is, but I'm going to try it because it looked amazing. But I got 3 quite big pieces of fish, didn't I? And I had wedges, and on the plates it just doesn't look like a lot.
No, so you try to eat it.
And then you start eating it, and it just seems to go on, and you think, oh my gosh, it was just a lot of food. I mean, we didn't need anything else the rest of that day, did we?
No.
You know, the children had a snack in the evening. But yeah, it literally was. I'll tell you a lie. That was the day you bought those cinnamon buns, and we shared a cinnamon bun. So it was really good value for money.
Yeah.
So our overall impression with a disabled child.
It was great.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really worth it. We really enjoyed it.
I mean, Isla is sort of that crossover age where she still likes child's rides, but she's starting to show more of an interest in roller coasters and faster rides. So I think over the next, say, 2-3 years, as Rowan gets bigger and able to ride the smaller rides, she's going to be wanting to go on the bigger rides. So I think Universal will start to have more of a part to play in our holidays.
I mean, we don't know what Universal, like, it doesn't sound like we did an awful lot, but we've got, like, you did have the shows. We watched the Blues Brothers show, we watched a show, we watched the Bellas in Harry Potter, the whole experience of, like, the Harry Potter lands, you know, we had all of that, we looked around all of that, the shops, the treats, we sat down and had like a cupcake, and all these things take time. There's a lot to do around Dr. Seuss Land as well, isn't there? So there's a lot of little things here and there to do. Also, we'd not been before, so we looked, you know, we did look, and every shop we came across, we looked around it.
Yeah, and I think this is what we've found over the years, especially with Disneyland Paris, which we go to a lot. Now we go to Disneyland Paris, we get a lot more done because we target
what we want to do,
the areas we know we want to be in.
Yeah.
And I think with Universal being a brand new park, we didn't have that experience. We didn't know.
So everything was new, wasn't it? Like, you know, and even just stopping, like we stopped. You must have spoke to Beetlejuice for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and like we were like, the Hello Kitty store is an experience in itself, so we did that. She got Hello Kitty somewhere.
Yeah, she's somewhere there, yeah.
Rowan's had her. I think she was down there. Rowan had her when he came in. The only thing I've noticed, because Hello Kitty's, it's not a Universal brand, is it? It's sort of...
It's a Japanese.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if they're just selling it, but she's getting a bit dirty. But expensive. That's all I'm going to say. I found it quite expensive. This one was 40. And
we spent years trying to
keep her away
cover
from
up
Hello
the
Kitty.
presence of Hello Kitty.
Yeah, so...
She likes white kittens.
So just, if you've got girls, bear in mind, and there's like Hello Kitty Loungefly, Hello Kitty, Jaws. It's amazing in there, actually. Yeah. I could have bought her the shop, but she didn't want the shop. She's very good, didn't she, like that? She's not really, you know, she's never act spoiled or anything. So she just didn't really ask for a lot of Universe. I think that was one of the many... Yeah. One of the few things, I say many, but it was one of the few things that she actually asked for. And we have got 2 Universal towels that she wanted, a Volcano Bay one. And what else did she want? She's got a Simpsons Best Vacation Ever. You've got your microphone there. So anyway, let's just round this up then, I think. Overall, we're really impressed so far with Universal and the disability access, and Isla's condition is epilepsy, cerebral palsy. She's in a wheelchair, she can be transferred, she can sit up on rides. Things like we went on the Transformers ride, no way, it's too rough, it's too big.
The other ride we haven't mentioned, so I've just thought of it, she did go on ET.
Oh yeah, she did go on ET.
Slightly surprisingly to me, they weren't overly enthusiastic about putting her in the wheelchair vehicle, let's put it politely. So I ended up agreeing to transfer her. And to be fair on her, she sat on that bike really well. I mean, I had my arm around her because that's how we've always done Isla. We always make sure we've got an arm around her, so if she does start slipping, we can grab her quickly. But even with the ups and downs and the way the ET ride worked, she managed to sit virtually unaided the whole way around that ride, which was surprising.
And I didn't do ET because if you're a lifer like me and you've been to Disney a lot of times when you were a child, and Universal, you've been to Florida, you've done those sorts of holidays around the globe, I've done ET.
Yeah, whereas me and I haven't.
Now I'm a bit like, and I think Ida was a little bit like, what the heck is this? And we actually we were actually in the queue for the ride, and I just thought, she's got no idea what this ride is. She's never seen it, and I thought, how has she never seen ET?
I mean, so the crew member did make everyone laugh because he was like, "Welcome to the ET ride. You lot are now going to stand there for 2.5 hours and watch the entire film."
And I would have watched it, to be honest. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah. We didn't
just,
go either way.
I don't know, it's just certain things like, wouldn't a Back to the Future ride be great?
Mm-hmm.
With this, in this day and age, I know they've got like the Fast and Furious, I know it's like out the window sort of thing, but I feel like, wouldn't that be just fantastic? Like a modern Back to the Future. I'm here for that. I'm here for a modern Back to the Future ride that's wheelchair accessible. I'm here for it. I'm excited, and overall the price, that was one thing we wanted to say. The pricing of the tickets, our stay, everything was great. Really good value for money.
I mean,
we paid less than £200 a night to stay on site at Universal.
Slightly going off subject, we were looking at Hilton to see how much the Hilton we stayed at would be if we booked it through Hilton's website. And the one thing I have noticed is, if you're Disney end, it is roughly double the price to Universal end, even for the off-site hotels, because they have to compete with Universal's pricing. So because Universal's half the price, you find the off-site hotels are half the price.
Local to Universal, you mean?
Yeah, the ones that are local to Universal are half the price, the ones local to Disney.
So yeah, we found it really great. We found the transfers from the hotel, all of the buses as well, all the buses. You just wheel them on, and they've all got anchoring points, which I found really great. And if they did have a bus that didn't have the ability, or was just too full, if you turned up, they were like, you know, just wait for the next bus. There was plenty of staff around as well when it's really busy in the mornings, and there's just bus after bus after bus, and just huge amounts of people. There's staff at resort that will stay there until that massive morning rush is gone, and then when they've gone, they just get back on the bus, and then they deal with you at the other end to send you back, which I thought was really great. And also Cabana Bay, the other thing we've not mentioned is that it is literally walking distance to Volcano Bay, which is a massive draw for staying. For us, it was a massive draw. There's no faff. We didn't have to get a bus to City Walk to get on a Volcano Bay bus to bring us back. We just walked there, 10 minutes through the resort. Basically set yourself up in the food court. It's the best way to describe it. If you don't know where you're going, so if you get into the food court, you're out those doors for the food court towards the pool and lazy river. You go down by the lazy river, basically just by the left side, because you can't go by the right. So it makes no difference. If you go by the right, you can't go anywhere. It's a dead end. So you go by the left, keep on walking, and you just walk straight and straight and straight, and it just is signposted straight that way. And walk towards the towers. And to be honest, you can see when you get to that side of the hotel, you can see the volcano. So you kind of just walk towards the volcano. You just follow the route to the volcano once you've seen it.
The other thing I would say, if you're staying at Universal, I haven't quite worked out how to book this on the way there. I've worked out how to book it on the way back. But if you go to the effectively concierge desk, or the vacation planning desk they call it, there's a service called the Superstar Express, is it? I think off the top of my head, which is basically
Superstar Express,
Mears Connect to MCO, to Orlando Airport. So for the three of us, it was $45, which is slightly more expensive than an Uber, but where you've got all your luggage, you've got a pushchair, you've got a wheelchair.
We'd need like 3 Ubers.
You wouldn't be getting that all in one Uber anyway. So, everyone being loaded onto a coach is a lot easier. And they are the Mears coaches, so they have the wheelchair lift, they have all of the facilities that you get with the Mears Connect product. But at the moment, you cannot book it online in this country. I also couldn't work out how to book it online in America either, even after all the devices were loaded in the American website.
But really easy, probably took 10 minutes, if that. Yeah,
and I'd imagine if you email Universal and say, I want to book it, someone will phone you, or someone will they'll advise you how to do it. But I just haven't worked out because we stayed at Disney first.
We stayed at the Hilton.
Well, yeah.
But we stayed at a partner hotel.
Yeah. But I didn't go from MCO to Universal, so I didn't look at how to do it in that bit.
You didn't go. You did. You did do that. You did go from MCO from Universal.
No, we didn't go from.
Oh, okay.
Initially, we didn't go from MCO to Universal.
But they're Mears Connect buses, aren't they? So at some point you might be able to book all the buses that are run by Universal. They're Mia's buses. Mia's buses have buses and they have coaches. The coaches have wheelchair lifts, which I've actually done a short of, and I'm going to do a vlog of. We use them at the Hilton for Disney, so it is the same, even though that vlog is us going to Magic Kingdom, or Animal Kingdom. I think it's Animal Kingdom. But I'm gonna, and then we've got one of her getting off at Magic Kingdom. But I'm gonna just piece it all together so you can see her getting on and getting off, how they work. But they're the same. They're theoretically the same vehicles. So at times when it's busy, you will get coaches, but they have got the ability to have one wheelchair on. I don't know if they allow ECVs that way. I'm not sure. But on a bus, they definitely allow wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs, that sort of thing. I'm not sure on ECVs. The buses will take 2 ECVs or 2 wheelchairs, or 1 ECV, 1 wheelchair. They have a row of seats, 2 lots of seats go up, and they've got 2 anchorage points in there. So they've got the capabilities to have 2, and some buses even have 3. We have seen some with 3, but they very rarely allow 3 on. That just the quantity of people in buses, they just don't need to. There's, as soon as a bus goes at Universal, that's one thing I would say. We never ever waited for a bus. We never stood for 10 minutes for a bus. They were very regular at all times of the day.
Very much you'll see with America, very much like this country, a lot of it is driver discretion. So when we had a very quiet bus at one point, the driver said, "Oh, don't worry about folding the buggy up," and he anchored the buggy down as well as anchoring Isla's chair down. But that's the exception.
Yeah, you need, if you've got
it's
a buggy,
very much,
it's got to be folded.
yeah, the buggy has to be folded. You might occasionally get it where a driver's on, well, got no one else on, which, as a bus driver, I have pretty much the same view.
Yeah, I think also it's safety as well, and it's American rules. You can't have, you need to be holding on. It's very much safety precaution. You need to be holding on to your child at the very least.
Yeah, your baby cannot stay in the buggy, even if they do secure it down.
So that's one thing to note. But yeah, overall we've had a really great experience, I think. I hope some of this has been good advice or not. This is our little review. We had some excellent members of staff help us. We know we're going to get bad days. We get good days and bad days. There are times when I've sat in Disneyland Paris and I have literally cried my eyes out. And I was like, Kate, it's stupid, don't worry. And it was all over getting my daughter a time slot to see Minnie Mouse, I think, or Mickey Mouse. And sometimes it can be just overwhelming having a disabled child, and everything was just made great, wasn't it? Everything was great. So maybe what you'd expect if you're a regular Universal goer and you're just watching this because you fancy watching it, or you're just watching it because you're thinking of going with a disabled child. This is something I would really have appreciated. Some of this information I really would have appreciated being able to find. Right. So hopefully it's been handy. So we're going to sign off now. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like us and our craziness and this pickle bum here.